Yes, so as my presentation comes up, my name is Cecilia Onyango. I am a professor of horticulture. I work with the University of Nairobi, and my specialization is horticulture, fruits, vegetables, and flowers. I focus more on the production environment, and here my main focus is on safety issues, and I think that relates very well to food systems. But in today's talk, I am going to take you through a few of the slides that will set pace to our discussion. I am not a master of what I'm going to say, but I can at least deliver. Being a professor at the university, my work is to deliver the information, and then we tie that together, we start the discussion, push it forward, come up with solutions. So I'm going to look at the policy pathways that can lead to transformed food systems. And look at the food system, what it is, the challenges that we are facing with our current food systems, and then try and tease out the role of policy, where we should focus, and how policy can be part of the solution to obtaining the interventions that will sort the challenges that our food systems are facing for sustainability, but also for resilience, because there are many issues that are happening that if we are not resilient, then we cannot get to where we want to be. So when we are looking at the food system, there are all those steps involved from the time we start talking about acquiring the inputs to the production until our tables, what we just had today, and how we dispose that which we cannot eat. And here you realize that everybody is engaged. The actors are not just from one profession, but all of us. We had this morning from the minister, from the board chair, and all those who spoke before me, that all of us must be engaged in this discussion in order to come up with solutions that are lasting. Why do we need the transformation in the food systems, or the system that we have today? It is because we are still talking about hunger and malnutrition even after a lot of investments have been made in agriculture. We have beautiful policies in Africa, for example, and to be more specific, Kenya, my country, we have wonderful policies. And yet, year in, year out, people are dying of hunger. We are talking about underweight, but more recently, we are starting to talk about overweight. Those are the challenges that we are facing. So in this dialogue, we really must start thinking, and thinking seriously, why as Africans we cannot feed our people. Then the other challenge we are facing is environmental degradation. And we have seen that food systems are a major driver of this degradation that comes from climate change, deforestation, biodiversity loss. So we have again to start thinking, where are we going wrong, or what haven't we done right? Social inequity is another challenge. We see small-scale farmers, indigenous communities, and women not having access, and now the youth, and we have seen a lot of uprising going on in most of these countries. It's because of the inequalities that exist. And it's not away from the food system. So if people lack access to resources within the food system, how can we then start discussing and pushing this forward, this discussion, to ensure that we see meaningful change happening even as all these challenges are being tackled? The current food system challenges, I am sure we know them, but I am bringing them out today because this is a dialogue. We need to see where each one of us is going to come in so that we can solve these food system challenges that range from the environmental challenges. We are seeing extreme weather events. We are seeing land degradation. We are seeing pollution and water scarcity. And these are real challenges. So where are we going to plug in as policymakers, as scientists, as government officials, as the people who are in the space of production, of processing, of marketing? Where do we plug in so that we do not lose all this? We do not face the biodiversity loss. In the social and economic challenges, I cannot reemphasize the issues of food insecurity and malnutrition. We are seeing price fluctuations, trade barriers, we are seeing market failures, and people cannot afford food. Further, we have focused for a long time interventions that address food production. We have produced so much, but all that ends up being lost or wasted. So why do we put a lot of resources in the production of our food, having this going to the kitchens prepared, and then we waste it on our tables? I am sure there are some of us, when we went for break, we served quite some amount, but we didn't finish that. Resources have been put to produce that which you did not eat and just left on the table to be wasted. And then the losses that come. If you're talking about fresh produce, you imagine that the requirement of resources are so high. And yet, more than 40% of what that has been produced is lost. So these are the changes. We are hearing about food safety hazards. We produce, we overuse chemicals, and maybe we can't even export if that produce was meant for the export market. Sometimes we feed on that food and we get sick. And we spend so much resources treating diseases that otherwise will have been avoided. Pests and diseases are emerging because of the changing environmental conditions. What can we do so that our food systems are resilient enough to be able to withstand the new challenges that are coming? Policy interventions are essential if we are going to talk about sustainability, equity, and resilience. But by just having those policies without implementation, and we have heard this morning, it doesn't make sense. We must, as governments, start seeing the value of research. And we have heard this again in the morning. Evidence-based policies. That's the only way. So what are some of the ways that we can have this happen? If we can incentivize sustainable practices such that we reduce the greenhouse emissions, we conserve water, we protect the environment, then maybe we will be talking about getting to where we want to be. investments in innovation. Most of our African governments do not invest in research and innovation. And yet we know that when we invest in this development of new technologies and approaches, then we can increase our production, we can have processing to reduce the wastage and distribution of that which is being produced. But what kind of policies in terms of our countries, what kind of policies do we have to support innovation, to support research? We are thinking that these 4 transformations that are happening and the work that researchers are doing within the 4 transformations should be or should present to all of us a significant opportunity for the development of policies that ensure sustainable and resilient food systems. If, for example, in southern Malawi and the Tanga district of Tanzania, we have this transformation within and out of maize, and you know maize is a staple in Malawi, I'm sure, in Tanzania, in Kenya as well. So if this transformation is happening, are policies in place to ensure that at the end of it all, in the year 2050, we have food systems that are resilient, that are sustainable. We are able to feed our people, no hunger and no malnutrition. And there is also another transformation happening in Malawi and central Zambia, where we have intensification happening, irrigation systems. Have we thought through, are these evidence-based policies that we are seeing in place such that in 2050, 2060, the generations to come will say, yes, we were in office, because then we'll be grandparents, were in office, they put in place policies that have made us succeed. We are seeing in in Tanzania, and one of the districts, which is the Tanga, they're transforming, moving from domestic production for domestic markets to the export. Is that something that many years to come we are saying, it's good we did it, it's good we moved? Or should something be done now? Should we as scientists get credible information to inform governments to project the expectations of many years to come? As well, there is diet diversification, and here we are looking towards protein, fats, and refined oils, looking at those value chains in Zambia and South Africa. These are transformations, and we are talking about policy for sustainability in food systems. Let's use this, discuss, dialogue, and ensure that as the transformations are happening, in future there will be no regrets. We will have achieved and solved the problems that are facing this continent. I just want to let you off my hook with this, that let's not underestimate the transformative potential of our actions now and going forward, and the power of policy, and policy that's implemented, not policy that's formulated without implementation. And by advocating for policies that prioritize sustainability, equity, resilience, we can cultivate a future where healthy food nourishes both our bodies and our planet. That's the transformative food systems. And let's be the change we wish to see in the world. And let us work together to build a thriving and just food system for generations to come. Thank you very much.